Good evening, and thank you for being here with us. We are here for the Q&A of Latinx shorts. My name is Giuseppe, and I'm one of the curator of the selection, and Mateus Cabral is here with me. And we are very happy to have here 4 representatives of our selection, and maybe I will let you introduce yourself. You can start with Sophia.
Hello guys, I'm Sophia Wickerhauser. I'm the filmmaker behind Haiku from a Dead Poet.
And we have Ivan.
Hi, my name is Ivan Löwenberg. I'm the director and producer from Encounter.
And next, Fernando.
I am Fernando Díaz, and I am the director for Zucchini Cake.
And Ruth, who's coming back to our festival. She was with us last year too.
I'm Ruth. I'm the director of Screenshots for a Goodbye.
Thank you all for being here. So I will go in the order that the shorts were screened, and I'll start just commenting about the movies. We start with Encounter. It was the first movie of our list. It was a very touching story. I was in a Q&A previously, and I was telling that most Italian cinematography is about family, and somehow that kind of stories resonate with me. And of course, Encounter is a story about family. It's the build-up of this relationship between 2 people that never met each other, but they are linked by a common destiny. And I found it incredibly touching and a very beautiful movie.
Thanks.
What was your inspiration for this work?
Well, the leading actress, Magda Vizcaíno, I met her like 12 years ago while doing our first film. And ever since, we became very close as friends. And she has been sharing with me like some of the vulnerabilities of getting old. She is not lesbian, but she never had children and husband. So in some sense, it gets closest to what we as LGBT plus people can experience when we go old. And at some point, I think her experiences sparked in me like the personal concerns. What could it be my future if things don't change? So I wanted to do a story like from past and future, like in the same timeline, that the young Julian could be the past of the elder Araceli, and vice versa, like the future of this young guy could be the same as Araceli. So yeah, I tried to do a story of empathy in order to like people could see us in our most vulnerable position probably. So this was the inspiration, like being friend of Magda, and she sharing with me her experiences, and they at some point moved in me like personal concerns. What could it be for me in the future?
It's a very touching story. So which of you has watched all the shorts?
I saw.
Okay. Only 2 people. Okay. I think that's a pity in this situation. When we do live Q&A, there's every filmmaker watches every other movie, and there's a lot of also understanding about what is the thread that's connecting the different stories. So, Mateus, do you have any comment that you want to make?
Yeah, just some commentary for Ivan. I think that the subject of LGBT elderly, like the sort of journey of what happens to queer people once they reach like old age, and oftentimes up until very recently, queer people weren't really allowed to have children or adopt. So it's like something to where they don't have, children or grandchildren to take care of them when they kind of become just elderly. So I think it's like a really interesting topic. I really appreciated the film. I cried a little bit. I'm very emotional. It's sad, but it ends in like a beautiful, uplifting note that kind of like touches on the humanity in people, and sort of like the ability for someone to open their heart, you know, to I don't know if I would call them two strangers. I think their connection was like, you know, being queer, and that kind of brought them together in the end. I thought that was very beautiful and poetic.
Thank you. Well,
You're
yes,
welcome.
here in Mexico, you are not allowed to marry in many states, almost half of them. I mean, you can get married, but you have to go to other state to marry and then go to court for that state to allow it. So it's very complicated for many people still to get married. Of course, traveling implies many costs that many people may not pay. And in the end, I mean, many people know, I think, at least people I know, there are always these stories of the aunt or the uncle that live with this friend that nobody calls it, like, oh, they're just friends and they live like roomies. And well, yes, it's a kind of still common situation, even now. So I hope the short film touches people and hopefully change someone's mind around it.
The other movie that I think I've been at a very different vibe, but it was also somehow made of a lot of silences and moments of self-reflection, was the movie by Ruth. I think I could find it's like a theme of yes, self-reflection was very there. It was almost dreamy, the story of two people that are parting, and there is really not much going in the movie besides the kind of gathering of memories and trying to give each other the last hug. And you haven't watched the movie by Ivan, but also there are two people parting as well for different reasons. One is at the end of their life, and I thought there was this kind of like trying to say goodbye without saying words, but just trying to repeat familiar movements, familiar actions. It's I don't know. I felt there was a common like way in telling the stories between these very two different stories.
Wow.
I wish you will have the chance to look at the movie too. But about your movie, you have any insight that you want to give us about what brought you to that story?
I think I wanted to explore silence and I think there's a moment in a relationship when you already said anything, and I think when you have to say goodbye, it's very difficult to like to keep talking. So we wanted like to explore this moment when you already end your relationship and what happens the day after, when you really have to say goodbye, but you don't have any more words to say because you already said everything. And
that was very well expressed. That was very well expressed. I thought it was very powerful. Again, like a movie where there is not real action going on, but there is this, yes, when you just are left with the last hug to each other, and there are no more words to express what's left to do.
Yeah, that was the idea, to see how they say goodbye without saying anything.
Yes, a lovely story. What do your actresses think? Do you have anything about the nature of the story, which I'm sure all of us have experienced personally?
In fact, they don't speak. That's the reason why.
I mean, it's a very relatable story. I think all of us have seen, of course, these events in our lives.
No. For me, it was like a very beautiful exercise because the last movie we made, there was a lot of talking because it was improv, and we spoke a lot. So for me as an actress, it was very interesting just to say it without words, because it I don't know, it how do you say? te obliga.
Forced you.
It forces you.
Forces you.
It forces you to behave. So that's really, really interesting to say everything with your eyes, and I love that kind of acting. So I was wishing for a project like this for a long time. So it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, that was my first thing in to be in front of a camera. So I was very, very nervous, and I was like exciting at the same time. But for me, it was like a hard experience because in one side I was like passing through something like similar to the short, and in the other side was the first thing, so I was so nervous, but I like the acting and the process and the relationship that we create, because it was so honest, was so, I mean, Ruth has more the has the thing that she takes care about the relation and the actress and the way we like relate each others. So I was so excited because of that experience. So I am so happy with the process and with the result.
Yes, this is a beautiful piece of work.
Yeah, you all did a wonderful job. It was a beautiful film.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Maybe think of Antonioni traits like this again. This like lack of Antonioni, the Italian director. There was this a kind of lack of action, but you know, atmosphere, and like a long still moment. Oh, Katie's here with us.
Hi, Katie.
Hi.
We were talking with Ruth about her short.
Loved, obviously. I feel like there was always like a fight of like between me and Giuseppe, either with Latinx or international films, of like who gets what.
And this year I won because
yeah, you did. I won last year.
So it's a fair fight. Okay, Katie is one of our programmer, and she curates the women's short. So
Okay.
as we were saying, we always fight about some very beautiful movies.
Yeah.
So I know that Mateus had a question about zucchini cake.
Yes. So actually have it written down. Let me see. First of all, I just wanted to say that was such a beautiful movie. I think I really appreciated the storytelling aspect of it and how you kind of told this story, which is a sort of like, that's a definitely a common movie for trans genres of like, you know, being discovered or being outed. But I have never seen like a sort of like suitcase in the closet thing. So I thought that was like pretty clever. I really enjoyed the film. I thought the relationship between the two the two actors was strong, and it showed kind of like the relationship, and then also like the breaking of that, and then, you know, the main character kind of experiencing what they did. I really enjoyed the ending, which is something that I wanted to pick your brain about, because we've had a similar film from South Korea last year that I think it was called like The Mother-in-Law, and I'm wondering if this is becoming like a movie trend. But in the credits of your film, you have the main character washing dishes, and then as the credits are rolling, they like change outfits into like something more gender fluid, and kind of like come back into the kitchen in that shot. And I thought it was so pretty, and it kind of like rewards you for sticking through. But I think also like the way the credits were kind of played over the film without like a black screen kind of like motivated the viewer to like keep watching and waiting to see.
Thank you first.
You're welcome.
I was wondering, it was Mother-in-Law, the other film you said about from South Korea?
Yeah, so I have to look it up, but we screened it last year, and
Okay.
in their film, in the credits, so essentially the story for that film was, it was like two gay men who lived together in this apartment, and one of their mothers visits, and every time or the one time she visits, he hides everything of the other partner in the apartment. So they have like 2 toothbrushes, pictures of themselves, like milk in the fridge, and he's like lactose intolerant. But in the end, they like, you know, the ending, the closing shot is like a photograph on their you know, a shelf, and then the photograph changes to the 2 boys with the mother like next to them, like smiling, and it was just like a cute sort of idea. But I guess I didn't really ask your question. So my question for you is, how did you kind of come up with the title Zucchini Cake? Like, what was the reasoning behind that? I know the character kind of like bakes a cake in the film, but is there anything more to that?
Yeah, the idea was, I was looking for a dessert that was a little bit unusual, or that was made with things that you don't normally use for desserts. In this case, the zucchini cake. It's a recipe from my grandmother, or at least it was in her recipe book. And I really like it, actually. It's you know, when you first read it, it might sound a little bit weird, but it's a very good cake and very sweet. It to do, actually. So I actually entered or found it. I don't remember, but it took me a while to find it. I was looking for that plate until I think I was searching the recipe book, and I found it, and I said, this is it. And the name just, you know, it just, and the reason for that was that I was looking for a metaphor for the main character, in a way, something that got a little bit out of the norm of what we usually expect, and but that it can still be wonderful and in its own way. So that was the reason for that.
Thank you. That's very pretty. You'll have to email me the zucchini cake recipe now. I'm kind of
no problem.
I'm curious. It's summer. A bunch of my neighbors grow a lot of zucchini, so I have a bunch at home. So
it's very similar to carrot cake, actually. So, but yeah, okay, I can imagine it to you.
And then just another question. How was the casting process for your film? Like, how did you, like, you know, you wrote it, or did you write it? Did you just direct it? What was and then like eventually like casting, how did you cast the 3 actors in the film?
I did write it and direct it. Casting was hard. We, for many reasons, but one of the bigger reasons is that this was my thesis, my final project in film school, and we were a very small team, and everyone knew each other. We were all friends. We either studied together, or actually the DP is my brother-in-law, the producer is my sister, the other producer is a friend from school. So finding the actors was very hard, and in fact, originally they were supposed to be younger. Not that I'm not happy with the eventual decisions that we made, but it was very hard, and I think it was about 2 weeks before we shot that we actually, you know, finished casting. But it worked out very well because, well, Caracas is kind of small, so they already knew each other and they worked together very well. And when I mentioned to each other their names, they were like, "Oh yeah, yeah," I'm so happy to work with him. And it was in that sense, it was very easy.
Well, they did a wonderful job.
Yes.
Clearly. So yeah, thank you for
storytelling
creating
was
such a
so
beautiful film.
The storytelling was so beautiful, and the photography, and also how delicate everything, like the tone of everything was so delicate and respectful. I loved it, and we got another short this year on the very same theme. That's kind of like a it was a surprise for me. Like again, a couple where one of the two people comes out as a trans person, and yeah, it was surprising to have the same theme twice. That was an English production. Your movie was very beautiful. I loved it. And now I wanted to talk with Sofia, because her short broke my heart. As an expat, I know exactly that feeling of walking alone in a foreign city and trying to grasp like messages that come from your past. It was, and I loved how simple the message delivery was. For those who have not watched the movie, it's a set of diapositives, and there is one voice reading, like talking and describing what's on the video. And yeah, there is this one window that the character keeps looking at, and thinks of this past lover that he was never able to confront, to come out to. And yeah, just again, very powerful and very simple. And yes, and I could perfectly, understand the feeling that was described in that movie. Is that something that comes from your own experience?
Yeah, cheers. Thank you for those words. It's not actually like a real story of mine. Like although like if I tell people this and no one believes me, because they say that, because the narrator says he's gonna deny being his story. But although I did write like a love poem once to someone, and then denied being from me and told them it was a poem from a dead Japanese poet. So that actually happened. But yeah, that was exactly my experience in London, because I was just recently doing a master's there for a year and a half. So I was walking around the city, just trying to understand what was going on, and trying to understand this feeling of wanting to be there always, and wanting to go back so bad. And what is this, and how to express this without just me like coming up and saying, hey guys, I'm super lonely and feeling all these things and this nostalgia and blah blah blah. So I created a story where I could express that without having me personally, just be sort of like a documentary experimental film. Yeah,
and the use of pictures was perfect, because that's what we do when we go to a new place. We take picture, and somehow we try to domesticate that environment by collecting into images. And yeah, it was just exactly like the feeling that one has when it's somewhere else and is trying to get acquainted to a new environment. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I made the short with pictures, because I spent a year and a half there just taking pictures, basically, just like pictures. And then I realized I was taking so many pictures of windows that I sort of, when things start working in your brain, you're just like making the connections. But yeah, exactly. Like, so all my friends, they go places, pictures of buildings, pictures.
But windows are a powerful metaphor, because they are like a breakthrough someone else's house. So you are yourself trying to break through a new world, and the window kind of represent that ability to, bridge between inside and outside, and you are an outsider and you try to get in. Yeah. I thought it was very on point, and the simplicity of the story was impressive, and also like how powerful it ended up being.
Oh, I really appreciate that, especially because you guys screened all my films so far, all of them, like all my queer films. It's just like I
They're
think
good.
yeah, it's just like I think if you ever like not accepted a film of mine, I would have an emotional breakdown. Like I would just like, what's happening? You know, I would have to rethink my career or something. You know.
But that's a recommendation I make to everybody. If you submit again with us, let us know. Write us an email, because we always like to, rescreen our alumni, and we like to follow, the path of people that are have been screened already with us. Yeah. So last year was I can't remember the title, but it was the Brazilian short that we screened in Latinx as well, right?
I'm sorry.
Last year your short was also screened in Latinx. Shorts. Was that last?
Was it Afterglow, or was it 10 Places to
10
Visit?
Places.
I forget
They're both my films, and also Infinite While It Lasts, which you guys played.
Yes, Infinite While It Lasts. I was thinking about that one. Yeah, that was last year. Okay. Yes.
You remember me? Oh my god! You remember my films.
You're big fans, and also Ruth was with us last year.
Yes. I just had a couple words for Sophia. So I'm from Brazil, sou do Rio de Janeiro. And I think like part of my experience of coming here was having to learn another language, but also having to deal with two words that don't translate to the English language without it being like a overran phrase.
Saudade.
One of them is saudade, the other one is solidão. So whenever people ask me about that word, because it's kind of become like this word for like not being able to be translated, I'm just gonna tell them to watch your film, because it's like a perfect 4 minute long definition of like encapsulating all the sort of like, meaning of that word, because it's not just missing someone, it's like longing for them, it's longing for their scent, their like eyes, how they look at you, it's like all these kind of things encapsulated in this like beautiful word. And your poem and your film was just so like perfect to kind of embody that word and that feeling. It was beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I really like it managed to come across exactly as I wanted it. Yeah.
Yes, it was very effective, at least to my eyes. We haven't. Katie, do you have any questions for our filmmakers?
Ivan, Encounter was another one that I wanted, and Giuseppe apparently got. So this is two that I didn't get for women's. But I don't know if you guys talked about it before I got on here, but it was just a heartbreaking, beautiful film that I really, really loved. Did you guys talk about kind of where it came from and how you your thoughts about it?
Yes, we heard about the story. Maybe you can summarize it for Katie again.
Well, yes, I met the leading actress, who is now 92 years old. I met her when she was 80. We worked together in a film and have ever since worked in 3 other occasions. And we became very close friends.
92?
Yes, she's amazing. I mean, her memory, and she knows the dialogues of everyone in that, in every time. She learned the dialogues of all her partners, and she's amazing, actually. And she's always very nice to have on set. She has such energy, and you can see how she comes to life when she's on set. She's always very funny and very strong, but when she's on set, she's absolutely amazing. So she shared with me some of her thoughts of getting old, and I kind of projected myself into this vulnerability. So this was the genesis of the idea.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful. I loved it.
Thanks.
So to Ruth, word on the street is are you still in post-production for a feature, or where are you with that?
Yes, we are now on sound design. We already finished the edition process, because it took more than we expected, because it was quite a difficult feature because it was improvised, long takes each day. So we hope we can finish it this year, but we don't know yet.
Okay. So what's it about?
It's about 5 friends who meet for a dinner because one of them was away for well, I can say why she was away, but it's like her welcoming party, and it's you see the same movie from 5 different point of views. It's how each of them remembers that night. And
will we see some familiar faces in this film?
These 2 faces. And also from the other from last year feature, there is another actress who is also in this new feature. But we hope we can send it to you for next year.
I mean, we better be the first one.
and we can meet again in person.
Yes. Then we'll have to go dancing again too.
Yeah, we have to. Sure.
To bounce off of Katie, I have a question for everyone. There's a good one, and it's well, I guess I'll start with a bad one first. So we're living in a pandemic. It's worldwide. How has COVID-19 impacted your life as a filmmaker? Like, how has it changed how you live as a filmmaker, and like, how did it impact your film? We could start with Ivan,
Okay.
if you're ready.
I haven't been out of my house since March, so it obviously had some economic impact in my life. And on the other hand, I'm a bit used to it because as a freelance, sometimes you work and sometimes you have to work on your projects without being paid. And that's pretty much what I have been doing. I had some scripts that I had on hold on that I have been working now that I have the time, I have been working on them. So that is pretty much what I have done. And regarding Encounter, it was the very beginning of Encounter's festival route. So it started really well in Mexico with winning the main festival here in Mexico, Morelia. And we had many invitations, so I was kind of excited, but suddenly all of them faded. But now it's getting back on its roots. So I hope it does well anyway.
Yeah, I think it will. I think we're gonna adapt as queer people do, and we're gonna just find a way. So I think your film is good enough, and it'll stand for sure. I believe it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. And then Fernando, if you want to talk a little bit about if the pandemic has impacted your film.
I had a couple of projects that had to be, we're waiting or figuring out how, if we're going to shoot them, how is it going to be, so that definitely, that part wasn't good. But overall, I also freelance, so it hasn't been too bad for me in terms of of being locked up. I don't know if that's the right word, but and also I've done some smaller things. For example, my school decided to open I don't remember the word, but basically a small film festival specifically for the pandemic. You had to make a film about 1 minute long that dealt with the pandemic. So I did a little bit of animation, and I hadn't done that before. So in that sense, I've done a couple of things that I haven't, and it's been fun in that way. Of course, other things haven't been so great, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. And then next we have Sophia. How has COVID impacted your film?
So at first I was working a lot from home. I just like was doing a lot of projects, you know, like, but now I'm sort of like slowing down. But at the same time, the moment I realize I'm slowing down, I get back to it and try to make as much as possible from home, like just writing scripts and, you know, whatever comes my way. But like I did make a film for a grant, for like, there are a bunch of grants open right now in Brazil for you know, for films from made in quarantine and stuff like that. So I made a short, which is sort of like a soul sister of Haiku from a Dead Poet, because it's also a poem from Fernando Pessoa about solitude and, you know, wandering around town and looking at windows, you know, again. But it's like now since we couldn't shoot anything, we asked me and my producer, just the two of us, we asked our friends to take photos of their windows from inside the house, because everyone was in quarantine, so everyone did it. So we made the entire film with photos from inside the house, just of the windows. And that was really, really interesting how well that fit with the Book of Disquiet by Fernando Pessoa. So we just sort of made that. It felt really good. And we are trying to do something else as well, because there's so much opportunity like that for stuff like that. So like I'm just trying to keep it going in a way and not go crazy, because the situation here, as you may be aware, that it's really, 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 really awful. So yeah, just trying not to go crazy, I guess. But it's like I can't, like some of my filmmaker friends, they just decided to slow down and not work, not do that right now. But I found I just couldn't bring myself to do it in the end.
And then thank you for sharing. And then Ruth, how has the pandemic affected your film, if it has affected your film?
I think it's not that different for us. We were used to like make independent films, and we were used to like creating like not the best circumstances. So I think this was like a new challenge, and I think I never thought about quitting or stopping, because I thought that this moment could be like a creative moment, and I think it was good, because it gave us the chance to create things that I've never created before. For instance, we are doing a web series that I've never done something like that, and we're doing it from the distance. I mean, with 9 different actresses, and we're shooting in a different way. So we're trying to adapt. And also, I think it gave us time also for the feature film to think a little bit more about it, because I was a little bit, I always want to hurry with the processes, but I think it gave us time to like think and to have like a better post-production process. But I think the worst part is, because we were talking about that, I think every day we are talking about that we need to travel. I mean, that you have a short film in a film festival and you want to be there, as Ivan was saying, that you want to be where the festival is happening, you want to be with people, and I think that's the worst part. And for us, for this short film, this is our world premiere. I think we are every year we are premiering something with you, but we enjoyed so much last year, so it's a shame that we can be there. So I think that's the worst part.
And my reason for that question is just that, like, our festival has had to adapt to COVID as well. You know, I think our start date was like 2 weeks like before or after our state was declared like lockdown. So that kind of like shook up all these plans in motion that we had, and we're kind of left to scramble a little bit. But then being queer people, we're resourceful with having less to work with, and kind of like working under pressure. So we adapted, and I believe that like most or all filmmakers will find a way. And it's just like it was meant to be asked as like a way to like try to remain hopeful and just optimistic about new routes that everything is gonna take. And then the good question I have for everyone, do you have any sort of films you want to plug and talk about, or things you want to let our audience know that are in the works that you would like to just talk a little bit about it? We can start with Sophia, if you have anything you want to discuss and kind of let our viewers know.
Oh, I'm trying to think of something deep right now, like something inspiring or like really relevant. Yeah, I'm not really sure, because I feel like there's so much stuff relevant already. Like the movies were amazing, so much to think about, and I guess for my project, I guess I'm trying to work on a feature right now, and like I think about Ruth a lot because we met at Inside Out last year, and she's amazing. She makes it's just amazing how she makes her films, and I was like, can I be like Ruth? Can I be like that? Do I have the strengths? And I'm not really sure like if I got what it takes right now, like to just make a film with your immediate crew, like in your immediate actors and everything, and try to adapt as much as possible. I keep like thinking like like so many filmmakers, they make the film, they just make the film that they can at the moment, and so in other filmmakers they just spend years and years and years just like honing that script, getting the money and more money, like waiting, and it's just like wondering what's the right way, I guess, like what is it worth to spend years and years to make this perfect first movie, like, because there's this thing, right? Like we need to make the perfect first movie to be sort of like discovered and, get a kickstart in a career. So I'm just like trying to understand what the right way is. I'm really excited to hear if other people here are feeling something like that, or how you're dealing with your first feature.
And then if Ruth, I know you talked a bit about the film you're working on already, but do you have any kind of words you want to add to the conversation tonight to let our audience know?
I think making movies for me, it's something I want to keep doing. So I think it doesn't matter what's happening. I think that you'll always find a way to do it, and so I think it depends on each process. I mean, everyone is different. There's people who spends years, and it's good. I mean, it's okay. But I think what we are trying to create, for instance, with each movie, it's to make cheaper movies that, and doesn't mean that they are with worse. I mean, it's cheaper movies that involve all the crew. So that's what we are trying to do. That's what we did with our last features, with the last one that we are in post-production right now. But last feature, it's called Leading Ladies. I think it's an experiment. I mean, I don't know how to say, but I'm so excited because I want to show it just now. And I was emailing Katie, I think it was at the beginning of this year, because I wanted to have it just for the festival. But I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, when you watch it, you'll enjoy it because it's an experiment, and it's something that I've never done before. It was I didn't know what I was doing when we were shooting. I think they didn't know what we were doing because I was directing through WhatsApp. I mean, they didn't know what was the movie about, and it was like a big discovery that that we enjoyed a lot, and we hope you'll enjoy it too.
I'll take a sneak preview anytime you want to, like, you
Okay,
know.
I'll send it to you.
And then
I was saying this is a
Ivan,
feature, so Katie and I, we don't have to fight.
Well,
Yeah,
getting to what Sophia was saying, I already did my first feature film. I did it in 2009, 2010. And I was very young at that. I was 23, 24, and I won the Hubert Bals Fund from the Rotterdam Film Festival. But it was money that was supposed to be for project development. So it was 10,000 euro at that time. And after trying to get together with some producers, and they were looking at me and like, oh, you are very young, we need to do this. And they were trying to put actors which I didn't see fitting into my story and that kind of things. So I took the decision with my friends to shoot the whole movie with those 10,000 euros, at least the shooting, because it took me 2 years to get it post-produced, like all the favors that I had to ask for 2 years. And at that time, I wasn't like very afraid. I don't know how I managed the feelings at that time, but it happened to me with the second feature film, which I had the script already in 2011, 2012, but I said I wanted to do it right this time, like with the proper money, proper production, and the proper everything. Because I mean, with my first feature film, I struggled a lot with many things, and some of the things I say, maybe if I had the budget, I could have done this and this better. But it took me so many years to get some money together for my second feature film, that I'm finally doing it probably in February, March, but again, with guerrilla style. And, you know, I said, this is such a long way to go. When I had the money from Canada, but I lost it because I didn't get it in Mexico. So the financial scheme wasn't complete. And we were going to lose again some money that we already had in place because we wanted to wait for other funds. So like 1 month ago during the pandemic, we said, fuck it, let's do it with this money. I have a degree in guerrilla style movies. All the films I have done is like, okay, my friends, I have $2 here and the mattress of my grandma serves the purpose. So I always done it like that. But I always wish I have the big production budgets to do not the big, at least the necessary productions, no? So I'm back to do my second feature film in the same style I did my first one, which was with friends and a little cash. So I hope I can shoot it and show it to you next year. I don't know if it's going to be done next year, but yes, that's the plan right now.
Yeah, and we'll be excited for it. You know, clearly you created wonderful films in your style. So you know, there's no reason for us to not expect it to be good. So I believe it.
Hopefully.
And then Fernando, do you have any sort of films you want to plug that you're working on, or any encouraging words you want to say to the audience?
I'm also working on my first feature film, but it's it feels like I'm barely starting to write it, so I'm not really ready to talk too much about it. But it's
okay.
It's very nice to hear, especially Sophia and Ivan, because I feel, you know, I it's a lot of pressure to make the first one. Because it's that you don't know if you should wait, you don't know if you should really sit down and try to write it everything, you know, in 2 months, or maybe you should take a little bit more time and do smaller things. and hearing your perspectives about Sophia, in the sense that I feel like we mirror our feelings in that sense, and to hear how Ruth handled that before, and also Ivan, how everyone, and it helps, it feels, well, like everything, it feels like you're part of something that it's not just you. Also in Venezuela, there's a lot of people that have gone, and more than half of the team of Zucchini Cake is no longer here. So it's like, I don't know if I should make the film in another country, or try to bring those people back, or for shooting, or maybe find another team. And it's difficult, but I think it's good. I mean, it pushes you to try to find ways to do what you love. So in the meantime, I guess I'll try to do smaller things, maybe another short film. And obviously, I have a lot of friends that are working on their films. I like the assistant director. I'd like to, I don't know. I like assistant direction, so I usually help my friends with that. So yeah, basically that's.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I believe things will turn out well. You're resourceful and you made a wonderful film. So yeah, we believe in you. We support you as Wicked Queer. And when your film is ready, we're gonna expect that email to be like, hey.
Absolutely.
I wanna, first of all, I wanna thank everybody again, and I wanna repeat this feeling I had this year. This is the most beautiful selection I've ever put together for Latinx shorts, and that's all thanks to you guys. The material you sent was just fantastic. And I invite our audience to go on our website, because your short selection will be available until the end of the festival, so they still have a lot of time to enjoy this beautiful set of movies. Thank you very much for being here, for sending your material, and for being so wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Sorry.